Do you feel like your guitar creativity is at a dead end? Do you feel like the guitar rut might be lurking around the next corner? Or maybe you're just totally sick of your guitar's tone? Well, look no further than today's episode of Acoustic Tuesday, because I'm going to share with you 5 ways to make your guitar sound completely different and spark your creativity. Hey TAC family, and welcome to episode number 174 of the Acoustic Tuesday show. This show is designed to bring fun, focus, and progress to your guitar journey through my weekly Guitar Geek list, plus success stories from your fellow guitar geeks. In fact, today you'll be meeting TAC member Daniel M., who went from a weekend guitar dabbler to an everyday guitar player, which enabled him to start on his retirement project, which was recording his own original songs. You'll get inspired by Daniel M. in a moment, plus you'll get some acoustic guitar news you can use, which includes 2 guitar builders that you absolutely must check out, plus a whole bunch of news surrounding Jon Gomm. Yes, we're going to talk about an album, a cool podcast, and some other really great stuff. But first, let's talk about 5 ways you can totally transform your acoustic guitar. There comes a time in every guitar geek's guitar journey where you look around at the instruments you have and you just don't feel inspired. You think, gosh, maybe I should get a new guitar, but that might not be in the cards at the current moment. Which is why today's list will help you out significantly. I'm going to share with you 5 ways to completely transform your acoustic guitar. These ways are not expensive, and I do believe they will totally spark your creativity. So let's go ahead and dig in. The very first way that you can change your guitar for the better is to turn it into a lap style instrument where you can play slide on it. Yes, kind of converting your acoustic guitar into a dobro. What do you need to do to actually make this transformation complete? Well, you need one simple thing. It's a nut extender. I know, you're gonna have a field day in the comments. Go ahead, just keep it relatively clean. But seriously, you'll need a nut extender. It's a thing made by Grover. It's a contraption made by Grover that fits over your guitar's existing nut. It lifts the strings off the fretboard so you can play your guitar lap style with a regular slide. I should say, not a regular slide, but a lap style slide and finger picks. And that's it, voila. You can mess around with alternate tunings. I do recommend tuning your guitar lower. Open D is actually a prime candidate for this, and that's low string to high string, D, A, D, F sharp, A, D. So I guess you need more than one thing. You need the Grover nut extender, you need the lap style slide bar, set of finger picks, and boom, you're off to the races. In fact, if you're wondering how it sounds, here's a quick little clip from Jimmy Heffernan converting his acoustic guitar to a lap style instrument, and I think you'll agree, it sounds pretty darn awesome. The next transformation involves turning your guitar into a Japanese koto-like instrument. And all you need is one simple thing. You need the passerelle bridge, which you can actually find on Khaki King's website. And all this contraption is, it's a cast metal piece that you put right around the 16th fret, I believe it's the 16th fret, that raises your strings in the center. And you can actually play on both sides of the passerelle bridge. And you can bend notes, which sounds so incredibly cool. In fact, you've got to hear this thing in action to kind of conceptualize what it is and how incredible it is. So let's go ahead and look at Khaki King playing her song Teak, of course using the passerelle bridge. But Khaki King isn't the only one that uses the passerelle bridge. In fact, if you go to YouTube and look it up, there are a ton of players using it, from Yasmin Williams to Michael Watts to this next artist whom I featured on Acoustic Tuesday before. Yes, Amber Russell, an amazing percussive fingerstyle guitar player. She got her hands on the passerelle bridge, and I think the results were pretty darn amazing. Let's check it out. The next tonal experiment that I want you to try is muting the strings. And I know you're sitting there thinking, Tone, that's not a revolutionary tonal experiment at all. I mute the strings all the time. Well, I want you to mute the strings with an outside device, because this allows your picking hand to do whatever you want it to do without having to mute the strings. They're already muted for you, so it opens up a whole new world for your picking hand while still getting that muted tone. Now, there are a couple of different devices you can use. The first one is made by Groove Gear, and it's called a fret wrap. Now, usually these are on the headstock of basses, but they can double as a string mute down by the bridge. In fact, this is done on a bass, but you'll see what I mean here in this video. And for those of you thinking, gosh, I don't want to spend any money on trying this out. Well, you don't have to. You can grab a clean kitchen sponge, cut it into a tiny sliver, put that by the bridge of your guitar so that it touches the guitar strings, and voila, you have an improvised mute that you can at least kind of do a little bit of a sample of how the muting will sound. The next tonal tweak that I want you to try is using Nashville Tuning on your guitar. I know this sounds scary, I know this sounds intensive, but it's not as long as you have the right set of strings. In fact, D'Addario makes a set of strings specifically for Nashville Tuning. So what is Nashville Tuning and what makes these strings so special? Nashville Tuning is using the high strings from a 12-string guitar set, so not the thick ones, but the thin ones, putting them on your guitar and tuning it to standard pitch. This, in essence, makes your guitar super chimey, and it actually results in this wonderful dulcet tone that it almost doesn't even sound like your guitar anymore. It sounds like a completely different instrument. It's an easy tweak to make, and it's a really fun experiment to try. But I will say this. If you really dig Nashville Tuning, if you love the resulting sound and you want to, say, keep a guitar in Nashville Tuning, it's best to get your guitar specifically set up for that tuning. This way you can avoid any fret buzz or any weird noises that may result. But if you're just experimenting, go ahead and grab those strings and give it a try. If you're wondering how it sounds, here's a great video from the folks at Sweetwater who Nashville tuned a GS Mini, and it sounds pretty darn amazing. Okay, this last guitar transformation, I'm gonna tell you right now, is kind of weird, but just follow along with me here because we're gonna go for an interesting ride. I'm gonna call it Fiddlesticks, and it's basically hitting your guitar strings with a drumstick or some implement that's like a drumstick. Now, that being said, don't hit your guitar with the drumstick. That's bad. That results in dents. That results in cracks. You don't want to do that. Rather, hit the strings. And this works really well when paired with an open tuning, as you'll see in this video. A pretty awesome video, and when I found it, I couldn't wait to share it with you. Now, after seeing that, you can see that it's actually a pretty cool experiment, but if drumsticks aren't your thing, or if you feel like they're unsafe, which in my opinion they kind of are, you can try some other methods to use this same technique, or rather implements to use this technique. You can find hammered dulcimer hammers, which are small little wooden hammer looking things that are actually covered in cork, so they won't hurt your instrument at all. Or you can use chopsticks from any takeout food. They're thin enough, they're made out of wood, and I think they'll produce a pretty interesting tone. So a couple different avenues to go there if you do want to try that. Now you might be thinking, is this even a viable thing to use in a song? Now, I found an artist that I featured many episodes back on Acoustic Tuesday, Eric Malmgren, and he uses this technique without pieces of wood or drumsticks, but he uses his fingers to get a similar tone, and I think you'll see that this is a pretty viable option for song creation. Here it is. Now, of course, there are other things you can do to tweak the sound of your existing guitar, from just alternate tunings, to messing around with a bottleneck slide, to experimenting with strings, to experimenting with picks, finger picks, you name it, the list goes on. I just wanted to share these 5 things with you because I thought they were a little bit more on the outside of normal. So hopefully you found it inspirational, and hopefully you try one of these things and it unlocks some serious creativity. That all being said, I do have a question for you. In fact, I'd love for you to answer it in the comments below. Of your guitar journey so far, looking back at your guitar journey so far, what's a tonal tweak that you did that helped you bust a guitar rut? What's a tonal tweak that you did that helped unlock your creativity? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love for this to serve as a list of inspiration for your fellow guitar geeks. Now I want to introduce you to a TAC family member who was a weekend dabbler but became an everyday player. And becoming an everyday player allowed him to start in on a project that he always wanted to do in retirement. This is Daniel M. And Daniel M just celebrated his 3rd year at Tony's Acoustic Challenge. And rather me read his story, let's go ahead and listen to it in his own words.
So today marks my 3rd TAC anniversary. I joined TAC on January 31 in 2018. So I will use that as my TAC anniversary post, that video. So when I joined TAC, like many others, I had started playing, many others of my age, I have started playing guitar in the late 60s, and since then been playing off and on until I joined TAC 2 years ago. It was on and off. I was mostly a weekend player. So when I was in the weekend, then I would take my guitar, and maybe in the Saturday afternoon we could play 2 or 3 hours, and then put the guitar back in the corner and maybe take it once a week. And but of course, since I joined TAC, I've been practicing every day since then. So that was one of my reasons that I joined TAC.
It's evident that Daniel's daily playing habit started 3 years ago when he became a Tony's Acoustic Challenge member. And it's so cool to see because now he's sitting down and writing and recording his very own music. And this is so cool for somebody who started guitar in the 60s, kind of dabbled for a number of years, and now in retirement is tapping into some serious creativity fueled by a daily guitar playing habit. So let's go ahead and listen to the fruits of Daniel's daily playing habit and listen to his song, Maybe One Day. Here it is. Happy 3rd TAC anniversary to you, Daniel, and huge congratulations being sent your way. May your guitar journey continue to flourish with your daily playing habit. Now let's go ahead and look at a guitarsenal from one of our very own Acoustic Tuesday viewers. This is Lee W. from Craven, Saskatchewan, Canada, and here's what's in his guitarsenal from left to right. We have a 1998 Samick LW D28A, a 2019 Epiphone ES339 Pro, a 2019 Gretsch Jim Dandy, and a 2015 Fender PM2 Deluxe. The Samick was my son's and had lived in its case for 16 years after we moved from England to Canada, not seeing the light of day until last year when I stumbled on TAC and decided to pick up the guitar again after 40 years away. I enrolled in TAC in May 2019, and I'm enjoying it immensely. If only I'd had the internet back when I was 14. I might have been a rock star now. Buying the other 3 guitars on the wall was me finding my way as to what fits me, and I've found what I like: wide nut, short scale instruments. I would like to add a resonator, a parlor guitar, and probably a Taylor cutaway to the lineup in the future sometime. Love TAC and love being part of the family. Well, huge thanks to you, Lee, for sharing your guitarsenal with us. And if you're sitting there thinking, gosh, I have a guitarsenal that I want to share on the Acoustic Tuesday show, I'm here to tell you, please do so. There are just 3 simple steps that you have to follow. Step number 1, go to acoustictuesday.store and pick out your favorite Guitarsenal shirt. Step number 2, put that shirt on and take a picture amongst all of your guitars. Step number 3, upload your picture at acousticlife.tv. Click on the submit link in the top menu, and there you can upload your picture and tell your story just like Lee did. Now let's head on back to episode number 172 of the Acoustic Tuesday show, where I talked about tone woods. There were some great comments left on that show, and I want to feature just a few. First off, I have to say thanks to everyone who contributed to that show. There were so many tone wood combinations left in the comments. It left me thinking that, well, I need a guitar in every single tone wood combination. You all convinced me, so I'm going to start shopping now. Just kidding, Whitney would definitely kill me. Every time I say, yeah, I've been looking at this guitar, Whitney just kind of rolls her eyes and says, I think I'm going to start shopping too. So we have to work out the details and logistics of that. But anyways, let me feature a few comments from the show. This first one comes from Zebo, and he says this: dude, your son is a stud. You must be so proud. I'd love to see more and that whole video. I see so many Fam Jam opportunities with you and Aiden. Thanks so much, Zebo, for that comment. And yes, it's true. I love seeing Aiden play. To see him play drums on that song, I was indeed so proud. And I do believe he is a stud. In fact, when he does come out and visit, we have wonderful Fam Jams. In fact, it's really nice to be able to bond over music in such a way where our music, the genres of music that we like, overlap quite a bit. So it's a great relationship, and thanks for pointing that out, Zebo. Our next comment comes from Rob Temple, and he says this: great question. Does quilting affect the tone? I have a Martin D18 with a quilted Sitka top, and I think it is a bit warmer than others I've heard. Rob, this is a great question, and this is one I used to get asked often when I worked at Weber Mandolins. For those of you who don't know, right around 2008 to 2010, I worked at Weber Mandolins. I did sales, and oftentimes I would find myself in the shop talking to the various luthiers. Well, one day I was talking to Bruce Weber, and we were talking about quilted maple versus flamed maple. And he was saying that over the years, he's noticed that the quilting seems a touch softer, therefore issuing a little bit of a warmer tone, whereas flamed maple seems a little bit harder. Definitely something to consider when listening to the various tone woods. So I think you're listening to that Martin D18 with the quilted Sitka top is probably accurate. Now, again, this probably isn't the case for every single tone wood, but it's certainly a great observation, and I wanted to share that with you all because I thought it was pretty interesting to think about. So great question, Rob. Thank you so much for asking that. Our next question comes from, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, bear with me, Naif Abdal Cream. Would love it if you decided to do an episode on Bert Jansch. I think that's a fantastic idea, and hold your horses, and I think there might be one coming up. A little birdie told me there might be one coming up. Great recommendation, and I certainly appreciate it. Our next comment comes from Denny M. Now, you might think that name rings a bell because we featured Denny M's story on a past Acoustic Tuesday episode. And he has a little bit of a story and a question here. So here's his comment. Tony, thank you. This is amazing and a question I have always pondered. I keep going back and forth to purchase the Fender Telecaster Acoustasonic based on the episode you did featuring it as the acoustic of the future. When you did the review, I was on my way to becoming a more impressive guitar geek, but could not justify at my skill level spending $1,999 plus. However, since you spotlighted my TAC anniversary in episode 169, my wife believes I am able and competent enough to play such an instrument. I will wait on the Fender until I save a few more dollars. Then I hope to have no issue playing and paying the money. I have taken your advice on most of the guitars I own, the Yamaha FG800, the Taylor GS Mini, etc. Sincerely, Denny M. Well, Denny, thanks so much for watching the show and leaving such a wonderful comment, story, question. In fact, as I read your comment, I couldn't help but remember that I believe it's on your picking hand. You have issues with one or two of your fingers. It might be on your fretting hand as well. I'm not entirely sure, but I think the Acoustasonic platform, be it a Tele or a Strat, might be a great avenue for you. Number one, you get a whole bunch of tones out of one guitar. So it's really fun to experiment, especially talking about tone experiments and things like that in today's show. But furthermore, I think the playability of the Acoustasonic would really match what you have going on in terms of hand injuries or soreness in your hands. I find that the Acoustasonic Strat that I have is extremely playable, almost bridging the gap between electric and acoustic. So hopefully that helps, Denny. Again, thanks so much for watching, and Guitar Geeks Unite. I think you are an impressive guitar geek. Your story was a fantastic one to share on episode 169, and for those of you who didn't see it, please check it out because it truly is inspiring. Now it's time for, you guessed it, acoustic news you can use. This is one of my favorite parts of the show because I get to help you stay on the front lines of the acoustic guitar industry. And the very first thing I have for you is a guitar maker you should know about. In fact, you might already know about her. Daisy Tempest, former apprentice to Tom Sands, has gone out on her own and started her own guitar company, Tempest Guitars. Daisy is an incredible human being, one of the nicest people I have ever met, not in person, but online, and I'm so happy for her as she embarks on this new journey, this new chapter in her life. One of the things I want to encourage you to do is check out her Instagram profile for Tempest Guitars, because she's been posting these wonderful updates, and it's almost like you get to experience starting a new guitar business almost through Daisy. It's really exciting and something I want to encourage you all to do. The next piece of news I have for you comes from Australia. I believe it's Australia. Now that I say it, it doesn't sound right, but I'm pretty sure it comes from Australia, and it's another guitar maker that you should know about. You may or may not know this, but I am a sucker for lap-style slide instruments. Weissenborns, Dobro, you name it, which is why the first tonal experiment today was to put an extension nut on your acoustic guitar. Anyways, you need to know about Tim Kill and his custom instruments. Cool name, and the dude looks even cooler. He's got a beard, he's got tattoos. He's a guy that I want to sit down, have a cup of coffee with, and just shoot the breeze because he looks amazing and he builds incredible, incredible instruments. Now, to learn more about Tim, there's this cool little mini documentary that was done that, well, we'll look at a quick snippet of it right now.
I still get a buzz when an instrument's finished and strung up for the first time, and the sound. You know, sometimes there's a little bit of disappointment if it's not sounding right or needs a little bit more work, but it's always a journey, you know, that I enjoy thoroughly, you know, all the way through the end. You know, and I get a real buzz about these things are going to be around hopefully hundreds and hundreds of years when I'm gone. So these things will have my name inside and they'll hopefully get passed down to other people and other people. And music moves people in such a way, you know, and to be involved with making an instrument that can do that, yeah, that's a super cool feeling.
A pretty amazing individual, if I do say so myself. Make sure to check out Tim's website because there truly are some amazing creations on there, from Indian slide guitars, crazy amounts of strings on these instruments, to beautiful inlay work, Weissenborn recreations, both the standard hourglass style, teardrop style, some carbon fiber stuff. He's kind of like a mad scientist. So make sure to check out Tim Kill, his instruments, and of course his website. The next piece of news is from a friendly guitar geek that, well, you may know and love, and if you don't, you should know and love him. His name is Michael Watts. He's reviewed a ton of guitars. He's an amazing player, and he is now able to play a concert for you from the comfort of your own home. And he is in the comfort of his own home. Yes, indeed. Michael Watts just signed on with Lockdown Presents, and you're able to book him for a show that, well, you can enjoy, again, from the comfort of your own home. It's so cool, and I was so excited to see Michael doing this because he's one of my favorite players. He's a player that I truly look up to, and one that I had the wonderful privilege to sit down and talk to some months ago. And to see him being able to still play shows and to have people still be able to book him and enjoy the songs that he writes, the songs that he plays, is pretty darn amazing. So let's go ahead and look at a promo video for Michael Watts' at-home concert series brought to you by Lockdown Presents. Here it is.
Hello, my name's Michael Watts. I'm a solo acoustic guitarist, and through the amazing team at Lockdown Presents, you can book me to give a private performance for you, your friends and family. I'm happy to play a number of different styles for you, including classic covers, some gentle folk and Celtic music, and even some of my own original material.
I've got 3 more pieces of news for you, but they all involve the same artist, Jon Gomm. Where do we start? I've got an interview, I've got a guitar, I've got an amp, and I've got an album. That's 4 pieces of news. I lied. There's not 3 pieces of news, there's 4. Let's start with the interview. So a couple episodes back on Acoustic Tuesday, I shared with you that Mike Dawes has a podcast. In fact, that's the name of Mike Dawes' podcast. It's Mike Dawes has a podcast. Well, he recently interviewed Jon Gomm. It's hilarious. It's fantastic. It's truly guitar geek fervor at its best. Is that even a word? Guitar geek fervor? Anyways, it's darn amazing, whether that's a word or not. So let's take a quick sneak peek into that interview right now.
It's almost particularly relevant in instrumental music. I mean, obviously you are, you're known as a, world-class guitar virtuoso, but you're a singer-songwriter as well. So you are able to convey that extra layer.
I can do literally nothing else though. So that's it. So that sounds like, oh wow, it's 2 things, but that's it, 2 things.
Well, dude, I've got one
cannot
thing.
do anything
I've got
else.
one thing. Come on. I sing in the shower and in the car, and my mum thinks I have a great voice, but she's wrong.
I bet you have other talents that I don't know about though.
You'd be
I want to
surprised
say
that I
something
don't.
so dirty right now. I know you do.
We can talk after the recording ends.
Make sure to check out that full episode. It's well worth your time, and I think you'll truly enjoy it. The next piece of news I have for you involves, again, Jon Gomm, and a signature guitar and a signature amp that he's just released in conjunction with Ibanez Guitars and Blackstar amps. So if you're sitting there thinking, gosh, I'd love to play like Jon Gomm, and if I could get a guitar and an amp to get me just a little bit closer to sound like him, well, I would get them. Well, make sure to keep your eyes out for both of these products. First, let's look at the Jon Gomm signature Ibanez guitar. A lot of thought and a lot of research and development went into this guitar. In fact, there's a little video out there that kind of shares the development of this model. Let's look at just a little snippet of it right now.
My name's Jon Gomm. I am a percussive fingerstyle acoustic guitar player, and yeah, I'm here to show you my new guitar. I get asked by people a lot, what guitar should I buy? I want to play modern fingerstyle guitar, maybe a bit of percussive guitar. What should I get? And it's really frustratingly difficult to answer that question, because unless they want to get a handmade luthier built guitar, which might be incredibly expensive or incredibly hard to get hold of, there's nothing really to recommend. Guitar design hasn't moved forward with the technique, with the style of playing. And I've wanted to change that for a long time. And Ibanez is the guitar that I've always associated with progressive guitar playing. I used to get the catalogue when I was a kid and cut out all the photos of my heroes with Ibanez's and stick it on my bedroom wall. So it's the perfect fit.
And of course, you got to plug the guitar into something. And in conjunction with Blackstar amps, Jon Gomm released a signature Sonnet amp. This thing sounds incredible, and I've always been impressed with the Blackstar amps on the electric guitar side of things, but when they crossed over to the acoustic world, I thought to myself, this is going to be a really good marriage, Blackstar amps and acoustic amps. Or Blackstar acoustic amps. Blackstar acoustic. You get the idea. It's a good marriage because I think they make really quality stuff at a stellar price point, and I think the Jon Gomm signature amp is no exception. Let's hear it in action. Well, I am fully caffeinated, and that's really the only way I'd be able to get through all of this news. I have one more piece of acoustic news you can use, and yes, it has to do with none other than Jon Gomm. He just released a new album on October 16th, 2020. I'm a little bit late to the party, but you know what? This is an album you absolutely need to know about. In fact, you can order it from his website right now. I've just put my order in for the vinyl edition, which is a 3-sided record. You're thinking, Tone, records aren't triangles. No, it's a double album with 3 sides of music, and the other side is etched. How cool is that for a vinyl geek? I think it's pretty darn cool. Nonetheless, make sure to order it from his website. The album is entitled The Faintest Idea. Again, it was released October 16th, 2020. And let's go ahead and listen to a track off of it right now. This is The Ghost Inside You. Quite literally, on that note, I think it's a great time to wrap up the show. But before we do so, let's take a sneak peek into next week. Next week, I'll be talking about lessons learned from an artist who spanned all sorts of genres. I'm talking about from folk to psychedelia. I'm talking about from bluegrass all the way to jazz. Yes, lessons learned from Jerry Garcia will be the topic of next week's Acoustic Tuesday show. Remember, you can catch Acoustic Tuesday every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time here on YouTube. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being a guitar geek. And remember, your guitar success, your guitar progress, however you define it, is directly related to your guitar routine. So take the time and invest in your guitar routine and make sure to have fun every day you play. Thanks again for joining me today, and Guitar Geeks Unite. Cheers, and I'll see you next Tuesday.